Have you ever had that flash of inspiration, that idea for a really cool project, only to get completely stopped in your tracks by how complicated electronics look? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. So in this explainer, we're going to lay out a clear, simple roadmap that'll take you from just being curious to actually building things with confidence.
Right? On one hand, you've got these amazing DIY projects you see online and you think, I want to make that. But on the other hand, you're staring at this crazy, intimidating circuit diagram. That gap between your goal and your starting point, that's exactly what we're going to fix today.
Okay, so let's just get this out of the way. It is completely 100% normal to feel overwhelmed when you start. Seriously, I think pretty much everyone who's ever gotten into electronics has felt that exact same way. It's just part of the process.
And here's something you really need to hear. This is not about being some kind of math genius or having a magical brain for this stuff. It really isn't. It's all about having the right attitude, the right mindset, and a clear path to follow. It's about being persistent and curious, not about being a genius. So what is this clear path I keep talking about? Well, think of it like this. You need a compass for your journey. And for us, that compass is something I call the learning loop. This is going to be your guide for everything.
The learning loop is a really simple idea, but it's super powerful. It's based on one core principle. The absolute best way to learn electronics is by, well, doing electronics. And that's not just my opinion. We know that a hands-on approach is just way more effective for most people. You learn by doing.
So how does it actually work? It's a simple 4-step cycle. First, you make. You just dive in and start building something. As you're building, you'll start to learn the basics you need for that specific project. Then comes the most important part. You'll fail and fix. Trust me, you're going to make mistakes, and that's okay, because figuring out why it failed and how to fix it, that's where the real learning sticks. And then, you just repeat the whole process. That's it. That's your engine for growth. Okay, so you've got your compass, the learning loop. Now it's time to take a look at the map. Before we just start wandering into the wilderness, we need to understand the basic lay of the land in the world of electronics. Let's start with the absolute basics, the ABCs. Just think of electricity like water flowing through a hose. Voltage, that's the water pressure, the push. Current, that's how much water is actually flowing. And resistance, that's like pinching the hose to slow the water down. And the formula that connects them all is called Ohm's law. If you get these three, you're starting to speak the language of electronics. Now, let's meet the key players you'll find on your map. These are the basic building blocks you're going to see everywhere. Resistors are like the traffic cops, controlling the flow. Capacitors act like tiny, super-fast batteries, storing and releasing energy. Diodes are like one-way streets for electricity. LEDs, of course, are the little guys that light up. And transistors, they're basically tiny electronic switches. All right, you know the basics. You know the main players. Now let's talk about some of the common traps you might run into. Every good map shows you where the dangers are, right? So once you know what they are, you can just walk right around them. And here it is, the single biggest mistake that almost every beginner makes, starting randomly. You just can't learn this stuff by jumping from one cool-looking project to another with no rhyme or reason. You need a system. A step-by-step approach is absolutely crucial. This brings up a question I hear all the time, especially from people who are just itching to get building. They ask, do I really have to read those boring datasheets? The answer? Yes, 1,000 times yes. As the folks at Engineers Garage say, they are the ultimate source of truth. Here's a pro tip. When you're starting, just look for two things: the absolute maximum ratings, so you don't accidentally fry the part, and the pin configuration, so you know which leg is which. Seriously, ignoring datasheets is just asking for a headache. And while we're on practical tips, here's a few for working with breadboards. Always, always, always make your connections with the power turned off. Keep your wiring neat, it'll save you so much confusion later. And just know that breadboards aren't great for high-frequency stuff. For that, you'll eventually want a proper printed circuit board. Simple habits like these make a huge difference. Okay, so we've covered a lot of the technical stuff, but honestly, the mental game is just as important. So let's talk about the psychology of how you stay motivated, especially when you hit a wall. Because you will hit a wall. When it comes to motivation, you've basically got two types of fuel. There's intrinsic motivation. That's when you do something just because you love it. It's fun. And then there's extrinsic motivation, doing something to get a reward, like points or a badge. The cool thing is, a lot of modern learning platforms use something called gamification to cleverly mix both of them together to keep you hooked. And this all works because it taps into three things that all humans need to feel motivated. We need autonomy, the feeling that we're in control. We need competence, that awesome feeling that we're actually getting better at something. And we need relatedness, the feeling that we're connected to other people. A good learning journey hits all three of these notes. So why do things like digital badges or points actually work? It's not magic, it's psychology. They directly feed that need for competence. They make your progress visible, they celebrate your milestones, and they give you instant feedback that, hey, you're on the right track. It's a simple but really effective mental boost.
All right, that's enough theory. Theory is great, but it's time to put it all into practice. It is time to get your hands dirty and begin your very first quest.
And your mission is a classic. It's the hello world of the electronics universe, making a single LED light up. The goal couldn't be simpler. And look at this list of parts. A power source, an LED, one resistor, a breadboard, and a couple of wires. That's it. Totally doable, right?
Here's your recipe for success. Step 1. If you have a multimeter, use it to double-check your resistor's value. Step 2. Gently place the resistor and the LED into the breadboard. Step 3. Use your little jumper wires to connect everything up. And then, Step 4. The magic moment. Connect the power and watch it glow. And just like that, you've done it. You've built a working circuit.
So there you have it. You have the compass, you have the map. You just took your very first step and turned a bunch of theory into an actual working thing that lights up. You've officially started. So the only question left to ask is, what are you going to create?